There is an old expression, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Unfortunately, when it comes to getting into intimate relationships with women, it seems like resorting to your hand is safer than pursuing a woman's bush. So many guys are going their own way now and are perfectly happy, healthy, and wealthy by themselves. We have no real stake in society anymore. Most would be indifferent if it all burned down, but if we talk about women, they can't be honest. They act like it's a man's fault if she cheats, but in reality, they could be with the perfect, most faithful guy and still cheat. Why? Because she is bored with him. I suppose they still blame the guy for being boring. In reality, he may be exciting to another girl because he is different from what she has. Boredom is, I believe, a major reason for women cheating. Today, there's a definite rise in men choosing to go their own way. They'd rather spend their lives alone than live them with women who have now made it pretty clear what their true nature is. Their true nature is hypergamous, and they constantly attracted to what they don't currently have or can't have. They still want the Chad and they still want the Tyrone who used to excite them back in college. It's 100% true when they say that when a woman is not yours at the moment, it's just because it's not your time yet. It's somebody else's time, and with the passage of time she'll come around and be with you too. And for the men and women who do end up in a marriage or a committed, legally binding relationship, it's a win-win situation for women. Not only do they get a man to support them during the marriage and everything, they get his resources, assets, income, and everything else through alimony after they've divorced. You see, divorce is one of the biggest reasons why men are going their own way. One thing is quite clear, guys, and it's that you can't blame guys for not wanting to get married to modern women. Now, we don't want to be the judge in this case and express who we think was guilty, and why or why not this divorce should or should not have happened. But we do know that a divorce is a deadly blow to the guy who gets to face the wrath of our society, called names, gets labeled as something he's not, and ends up losing everything he's worked for. On top of that, he gets to keep paying the ex-wife a certain percentage of his earnings for the rest of his life. This reminds us of the clever bit of financial magic that footballer Achraf Hakimi did with his wealth in the name of his mother, protecting his assets from his wife who filed for divorce. The legal system is designed to work in favor of women, and use men's resources to pay for their financial expenses for the rest of their lives. Women were never aligned with their men and what they wanted to achieve in life, and there have been many cases where women had actually planned to marry wealthy men, only to divorce them and live off of divorce money without having to work for the rest of their lives. Women have deceived men into marriage, only to take away their resources. A lot of the credit goes to the MGTOW movement that allowed men to share their experiences and opened each other's eyes regarding the true nature of women. They realized that women are hypergamous. This means that women will always date up in socioeconomic ladder and will most likely monkey branch off to be with wealthier, more sociable, and more valuable men, throwing the concept of loyalty right out the window. And so, this created a transformational shift in the hearts and minds of men who saw women for what their nature was and decided to go their own way. Men are now avoiding marriages because they don't want to lose their resources. They are avoiding marriages because it's just not a good personal investment anymore. In the past, males were the guardians, providers, and aggressive leaders. However, most males today are urged to treat women with submission and on an equal footing when it comes to the workplace and careers. The actual question, I suppose, is what advantage women have in relationships with men who are emotionally superior to them. My response is that a woman does not need to exercise agency when a guy is in charge and accountable. The fact that the male makes the decisions makes her lack of agency clear. When males make decisions for them, especially when those decisions are wise ones, women tend to gain more self-assurance. The advantage of having a strong, dominating guy is that the kids will have more structure and discipline in their lives, which frequently translates to the kids being more productive in the long run. Those kids who will increase riches or who would appreciate retirement or insurance policy for their mothers later on in life. Most women, in my opinion, aren't mindful of the fact that the caliber of their progeny will benefit them in an old life. We spoke extensively about the government, but we didn't speak much about how it provides women with retirement benefits when they get older. The government assumes the role of the father for the kids, and in later life, it steps in to give the financial security that adult children frequently offer. Because the government would eventually assist them, many women in the past had no reason to treat their husbands and children's fathers with respect. But more crucially, because they are aware that the government would provide for them far into old life. Mothers lack any real motivation to raise their children correctly. Therefore, since they receive their own money from the government, women do not need to submit to their husbands or children. All of this was revealed following the suffrage of women. Women had little option but to bow to their husbands and children, as long as they were later in life reliant upon them. However, once industrial automation and the social safety net were developed, women were no longer required to remain subordinate to males, despite the fact that their natural predisposition still told them to be reliant and submissive. I believe that women's unhappiness has increased over the past 3 to 4 decades because they are socially required to make important life decisions alone without the assistance of males. Additionally, you described how awful your home was, how controlling your mother and your 2 sisters were, and how oddly it was the military school that raised you well. I'm sorry you were treated like that, but I'm delighted you met a woman who is receptive to you having an open marriage. As civilization progressed, things went rather well, but as soon as the roles were reversed, men became subservient and women became dominating. Women are constantly seeking an advantage over us males. That has at least been my own experience. Women always want to dominate relationships, take on a domineering role, and identify any areas of vulnerability in males. I equate being in a relationship with a woman to participating in a political discussion. While you, the man, have to work at being a politician, your female opponent is always a career politician by nature. Instead, males don't possess the same mental abilities that women have when it comes to twisting our words. But once you master female manipulation techniques, they are all essentially the same, since women find it difficult to think of novel methods to deceive men. I believe that many women are opposed to feminism, but they are unable to express this opposition since doing so would contradict the politically acceptable stereotype of women. Women, in my opinion, desire our affection while also wanting us to reject them, as if we had a switch that we could use to turn love on and off. It is also quite submissive for a guy to kneel down and give a woman a huge and expensive diamond ring. The white knight test must be passed in today's society in order to be married, however. If you do drop down on one knee and give your fiancé a ring, you have already failed the test. Nevertheless, women are socially instructed to accept that men make sacrifices for them and that they should be subservient, despite the fact that a woman's inherent or innate character typically dictates that she should be the one who is submissive. To all the guys out there, just make sure you don't marry someone who doesn't know how to handle stress and someone who will constantly seek attention from other men. She should know that marriage is a lifelong affair where there will be good days and bad days. Marriage is a tough life choice and shouldn't be taken lightly. More than often, marriage destroys relationships that have existed between couples for years. Because you're tapping into your feminine nature and not paying attention to the background noise of what's socially acceptable and what isn't, I can understand why you're receiving a lot of attention despite the restrictions being placed against you. Additionally, you are breaking the rules of established intimate relations. In your situation, the woman who lacks authority benefits entirely when a male assumes leadership and makes decisions for her. On the other side, women also benefit when a man chooses to focus on being a protector and a provider, rather than becoming aggressive and decisive. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.